From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a Tropical Weather Update.
Fred Gossage here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, with your daily regularly scheduled tropical weather update. We are still watching Tropical Storm Erin way out into the tropical Atlantic Ocean. Here's the latest view of satellite. Notice that it is holding convection near the center of circulation, which is a sign that it is improving its organization and its health. Still battling dust and dry air, but it may be starting to work that out of the inner circulation some as the thunderstorms near the center are starting to intensify, and it's been holding those thunderstorms here for the past several hours. So we may be starting to see Erin intensify. Now, as of the latest advisory at 10 a.m. Central Time, we'll have a new one at 4 p.m. Central Time. Maximum sustained winds were still estimated to 45 miles per hour. For right now, there's still an estimate because it's so far out in the Atlantic, they can't get the hurricane recon planes out in there. Once it gets a little bit closer, by late week, they will be flying those missions. But for right now, we're doing satellite-based estimates of the wind fields, which are pretty accurate. They just may not be down to the exact specific mile per hour, but they get really close with those. But estimated at 45 miles per hour, moving west at 17. That's another thing that may be helping a little bit, is slowing the forward motion down just a touch as it moves off to the west here. Pressure down to 1,004 millibars, so not a big drop. It is expected to intensify by Friday morning into a hurricane, and then continuing west-northwest, the center of circulation still looks to stay north of the Lesser Antilles, north of Puerto Rico, but depending on how far out the tropical storm force winds extend, there's some possibility that up to tropical storm force winds may try to briefly graze those islands in addition to some outer rain bands, but not expecting big impacts on any of those islands. And this is not going to track into the Caribbean. And then you notice by the end of the track, Sunday into Monday here, as it goes toward a Category 3 hurricane, we are starting to see that northwestward and northward turn in the track. Keep in mind, National Hurricane Center track only goes out 5 days. That's why you haven't seen the northward turn reflected yet. We're just starting to get close enough out in time for that northward turn to be reflected. That's why we've only been showing it with computer models so far. We're just getting close enough for that turn to show up at day 5 at the end of the NHC track. Now, here are the tropical models, and they are still in strong agreement that tropical storm and what will be Hurricane Erin is going to turn northward in that weakness in the ridge over the western Atlantic, likely to stay offshore of the east coast of the United States. We will still watch it just in case, but the spread has been narrowing some, and the models that there were a couple of outliers in the ensembles, they're starting to fold into the consensus that this will stay offshore and not be a direct landfall impact to the mainland United States. Now, Bermuda may have a potential for that, so we'll be watching that carefully. And definitely, as I've said the past couple days here, I see no credible signs whatsoever as of right now that this is a Gulf threat. We watch anything because it's out in the future and nobody's been to the future yet, but I don't see a single solitary shred of credible evidence that makes me believe this has a threat to get into the Gulf. It looks like it's going to be a recurver out into the western Atlantic and mainly be an issue for shipping interest, in addition to increased wave heights along the eastern seaboard. That is something to watch as well. Outside of Tropical Storm Erin, we are watching that system that was over the western Caribbean yesterday. It's moved northwestward toward the Yucatan. National Hurricane Center giving a 10% chance of maybe a short-lived tropical depression or something like that in the Bay of Campeche over the next couple days, but by tomorrow into Friday, it will be moving into Mexico. Not really expecting development from that. That's more of just a just-in-case top highlight there. Not expecting issues with that situation. We will look at it on satellite here, and there is some convection, but it's really disorganized in the circulation already moving on shore in the Yucatan. It will cross into the Bay of Campeche And then we'll watch as a just in case, but I don't really think it's going to have enough time to get its act together to become a tropical depression before it makes landfall over into Mexico. Main concern with that in Mexico will be heavy rainfall. We'll be watching that. Out into the eastern Atlantic, we do have tropical wave activity behind Aaron. This is the one we may have to watch behind Aaron down the road as it moves off the west coast of Africa. Possibility of some development with it toward the end of the month. That's way, way far out there. Nothing more than speculation at this point. Absolutely no reason whatsoever to be worried about it. And again, to recap with Tropical Storm Aaron, already high confidence that it was going to be a recurve off the east coast of the United States, staying offshore, not a direct landfall impact. We'll still watch for changes because it's still out into the future as a just in case, but the confidence in that not being a direct landfall in the United States, confidence in that is increasing, that it will recurve and stay out into the open Atlantic. We'll watch it carefully. Our next update here is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, August 14th at 3 p.m. Central Time.